Now, let me state for the record so that way this is clear and everybody understands it. I am in no way, shape, or form a Hillary Clinton supporter, a Hillary Clinton backer, or a Hillary Clinton voter. It will be a cold day in hell before I vote for that bitch for the office of President of the United States. And I frankly don't understand why anybody would be a proud and avid supporter of Hillary. I don't get it. She's consistently wrong on issues, consistently. The next time she takes a firm stand on something will be the first time that she takes a firm stand on something. All the scandal that's followed her over the years, all the crap and political games her and her husband have played over the past 3+ decades dating back to their days in Arkansas. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know why anybody would sit there and feel good about supporting Hillary Clinton, voting for a Hillary Clinton. Whatever bullshit they're sipping on, they need to stop because this shit's ridiculous. This reminds me of back in 2007, 2008 time, and I'm living in Iowa at the time. And here comes a group of Hillary Clinton supporters, and they come up to talk to me. And one by one, I ask them why they support Hillary. One of them said, well, because she's opposed to the Iraq War. And I said something to the effect of, that's funny how you can be opposed to something that you fucking voted for. Dismissed. Next. Then the next bitch sits there and says, well, I like the fact that she defends our constitutional rights, and I bring up the Patriot Act and many other things, and I say, you are now dismissed. Now the next person sits there and talks about how she's an enemy of China, and she doesn't believe in outsourcing. I said, well, that's funny. Her support of free trade deals over the years, most especially NAFTA back in the early 90s, her and her husband, I would seem to believe that she loves China and free trade, so fuck you. And then the last one, of course, oh, the good one. Oh, she hates Walmart. She's anti-Walmart. I said, that's very funny because as an attorney, she defended Walmart back in the 80s, and if I remember correctly, she served on the corporate board. This speaks to the stupidity, ultimately, my point, of Hillary Clinton supporters. And I just don't get it. And no, I'm not some disenfranchised, feel the burn, Bernie Sanders voting. I don't want angry grandpa any closer to the White House either. I mean, seriously. Let's tell the real truth about Bernie Sanders. The only reason many people even give a fuck about Bernie Sanders is because so many Democrats hate Hillary Clinton with such a passion so much, and the DNC tried to stack the table so much in her favor that they miscalculated, threw out the old white Democratic socialist against her, and some people started to gravitate towards him because, frankly, there was no other choice. So naturally he was going to pick up the support. It's the same thing as Rick Santorum 4 years ago against Mitt Romney. Of course, when he's the only other guy in the field, eventually people are going to latch onto him. It's not any reflection of any great campaign that he's running or that he is any type of realistic candidate whatsoever. And as far as talking about, oh, you're just somebody who's going to vote for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein, fuck that shit. All I need to hear is Jill Stein talk about quantitative easing and student loan debt, and that tells me that she would be tremendously in over her head. Why don't you go spray paint some frickin' walls with your flower power crap? And Gary Johnson, who 6 months ago I might have thought about supporting, but I realize now that this guy lives in a state of New Mexico fucking fantasy bubble, and he's a fucking moron too. And as far as I'm concerned in this whole election, when you talk about the lesser of two evils, I think it was John Oliver that said so eloquently that it's really about the lesser of four evils. There is no way, in my opinion, that anybody could go to the polls on election day and vote for any of these four people and feel really good or confident about their choice. They're all terrible choices. And I don't care whether you like Obama or you don't. The simple fact of the matter is both sides, all parties involved, had 8 years to come up with an alternative, an option, maybe a better option. And this is the best that we can fucking get. Make America great again, my ass. It just speaks to how stupid everybody in this fucking country ultimately is and how stupid we are for allowing this crap and this scam to be perpetuated on all of us. But back to the matter at hand. Of course, Hillary Clinton, being the ridiculously terrible candidate that she is, having so many things stacked in her favor, can't find a way to put away one of the worst presidential candidates in history in Donald J. Trump. And then she sits there and has the nerves to talk about Trump supporters are deplorables. You could take half of them and put them in a basket, the basket of deplorables. And you know what? Maybe some of Trump supporters are deplorable. probably equivalent number to the number of Hillary Clinton supporters that would be classified as deplorable. You know, when you're in a situation where all you have to do is not fuck up any more than you have over the past 3+ decades of your political career, and actually for once run a godforsaken effective presidential or election campaign of any kind, you're going to cakewalk. You should steamroll. It should be a borderline Reagan wipeout, like he did to Mondial in '84, or at least what Bush did to Dukakis in '88. Jesus Christ. But this bitch can't help herself. And I dispute this notion that Trump supporters are deplorable. I mean, deplorable is a really strong word. I might say being stupid or maybe morons, but I wouldn't go so far to say as deplorable. You can be stupid or a moron and not be a bad person. You could also be a deplorable, but be intelligent at the same time, believe it or not. To me, what I don't understand is so many of the Trump supporters that are so passionately pro-Trump in so many different ways, it just makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. Has your hatred of Hillary clouded you that much? Has your hatred of Hillary blinded you that much to the fact that you're supporting a stark, raving, fucking lunatic madman? I mean, how could you sit there and look at Donald Trump and feel good about that? And the sad thing is Donald Trump should be so many more things. He should be the type of guy that could represent real change. He's a guy that understands the system because he used the system and he exploited the system to his advantage. He's the type of guy that shouldn't have to be beholden to special interests because, frankly, he is a freaking special interest. He doesn't need anybody else's money because he's got his own money. He's the type of guy that didn't need millions upon millions of dollars in campaign funding because the Trump name, the Trump star power, gets his message out. He's the type of guy that, in theory, it would be great if everybody could gravitate to, because, in theory, he could represent a real, tangible change in the American political landscape and process. But as I've talked about before, on so many different levels, in so many different ways, Trump is the ideal GOP candidate of today. He is the Republican Party, whether the Republican Party establishment wants to acknowledge this or not. Y'all made this bed, now y'all gotta lie in it. Because this is your fault, and you did this. And it is you. And let's do a little comparison here. And let's talk a little bit about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I'll compare both of them. And talk about how this whole thing of how Trump is so much better and people being proud of supporting Trump is so fucking ridiculous and idiotic and moronic on so many different levels. Let's start off with the simple one. Hillary Clinton is a liar. She absolutely is. That spineless bitch. I wouldn't trust her as far as I can spit. You really think that Donald Trump is an honest man? Not only now is he a politician, which makes him a born and bred liar, he's also a businessman, a CEO. You think this man lives in a palace of honesty? And all of the things he said and all the deception he's put out there on the campaign trail. Yes, Hillary Clinton has a long documented history of being a fucking liar, but so does Donald Trump. And it comes down to this whole thing of Hillary having an integrity problem. You goddamn right she does. Her flip-flopping ass, her wishy-washy jellyback ass, she does have an integrity problem. She doesn't have any, and she's never going to have any. But don't sit there and tell me Hillary Clinton alone has an integrity problem when Donald Trump, all the people that want to talk about Hillary and she couldn't even run her own marriage with Bill, well, it's Bill that was doing all the stepping out. All the while, Donald Trump has been married 3 times now. And mind you, talking about integrity. This guy fucking played as loose with his marriage as Bill Clinton did with his own wedding vows. Donald Trump was fucking around with his future second wife while he was still married to his first goddamn wife. And oh, by the way, did I mention again that he's been married 3 goddamn times? You want to talk about integrity? This is a Donald Trump that has pimped and utilized the holes and the loopholes and the advantages built in for the rich into the goddamn system to, I'm sure, several years, because he won't release his fucking tax returns because we know what the real truth is. This guy doesn't pay taxes, and most certainly doesn't pay taxes anywhere near what is classified as his fair share On top of that, this is also a guy that has declared business bankruptcy 4 different times. And no matter how much any of his idiotic supporters want to fucking spin this guy has declared business bankruptcy 4 times. And this is not something as simple as just going to court and doing some goddamn paperwork. There are some real tangible consequences and a lot of people that get blowback and fucked over once shit like this happens. And Donald Trump does it 4 times. So you want to talk about Hillary Clinton having an integrity problem? What the fuck does that say about Donald Trump? You want to sit there and talk about Donald Trump's business acumen? I don't know. I like to have business people that don't have to go through business bankruptcy multiple fucking times. That's just me. That's just me. But it's more than just that. The people that will sit there and talk about how Hillary Clinton supported the war in Iraq. Hillary Clinton supported the Patriot Act. You really think Donald Trump is any fucking different? Sure, Hillary can talk about opposing the Iraq war now, but she always loved it. She's a fucking war hawk. Well, so is Donald Trump. He's talking about nuclear weapons and all this other shit, and you go way back, no matter how much he and his supporters want to spin this, going back to 2002, he was supportive of the invasion of Iraq. We can't have revisionist history on this bullshit. He did just like John Kerry got nailed for in 2004. He was for it before he was against it. Hillary Clinton was for it before she was against it. Donald Trump was also for it before he was against it. Period. This whole thing about Hillary Clinton being in bed with Wall Street. You goddamn right she is. She's sucking the chrome off of their trailer hitches all goddamn day long. But what difference does it make? Because Donald Trump is Wall Street. You want to talk about a guy that's utilized so many of the different tricks and gadgets that are built into the American financial system. You look at Donald Trump. So we want to talk about Hillary being in bed with Wall Street. Donald Trump is fucking Wall Street. Playing games with his taxes and business bankruptcy and outsourcing and so on. And we haven't even gotten to the outsourcing part. Why the fuck would you think that Donald Trump would do anything different than Hillary Clinton? Also knowing the type of man and individual that Donald Trump is and the egomaniac that Donald Trump is, why the fuck would you think he would go into office and then all of a sudden do things that would be bad for him and his businesses? No, Donald Trump is the type of guy that would protect the Trump name, the Trump brand as much as anything else. And as a result, what would he do first and foremost? He would impose legislation and push agendas that would be beneficial to him and others like him. Just like Hillary Clinton would. So get off of this fucking high horse that Hillary's in bed with Wall Street. So is Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is fucking Wall Street. All this talk about Hillary only being in this position because of her name and her marriage and what her husband's accomplished. That's all true. The only reason Donald Trump is considered a wealthy man today because of the small loans he got from his dad back in the 70s, which are much larger than he likes to let on. And furthermore, if we want to go back to business acumen, or in Donald J. Trump's case, a lack of business acumen, let's look at the performance of his money that he inherited, that he got back in the 70s, over 4 decades, and how he's grown it or not grown it compared to the rate of inflation. The simple fact of the matter is, and you can look at the numbers yourself if you want, he's been a mediocre average performer. So the one thing he points to is his business acumen. In a lot of ways, he gets failing grades. And this is the type of guy that people are actually proud to fucking support. There's talk about how Hillary Clinton doesn't like black people and Hispanics and so on and so forth. And honestly, that's probably true. You know, this is a woman in the 90s who referred to young black males who happened to have criminal records as being super predators and so on and so forth. So yeah, I don't understand why anybody non-white would vote for fucking Hillary. Do I even need to say or ask why anybody non-white would vote for fucking Donald Trump? For every one racist instance we have involving a Hillary Clinton, we've got 10 involving Donald Trump. For all of you that want to chant, lock her up, and talk about the criminality of the things that Hillary Clinton's done, probably some of that true as well. Let's look at Donald Trump and the discrimination in his housing practices in the 70s and 80s in Trump Tower, the tax cheats and the fucking business bankruptcies and the artificial inflation of his total net worth. Do we need to go on? Donald Trump is in so many ways just like freaking Hillary Clinton. For those of you that want to point to Hillary Clinton and her health problems. Shit, she's what, pushing 70? She probably does have some health problems. Donald Trump's fucking 70. I'm sure he's not a picture of perfect health no matter how much he wants to paint it out. And let's not even get into the potential mental health issues. If we want to go there, you have to be retarded to think that Donald Trump is 100% sane in the membrane, if you get my goddamn drift. The actions that he undertakes and the words that he uses and how he uses them speaks to a guy with serious mental health issues. Narcissism being the least of them. Being the least of them. Hillary Clinton supports free trade. Donald Trump's been outsourcing his ass off for years. He talks about all these jobs going to Mexico. Would those include the jobs that Donald Trump gave to Mexico when they were marketing and freaking making and manufacturing his goddamn clothing line as other countries were? Bangladesh and China and all these other countries? So you got Trump supporters that talk about he's going to bring back jobs to America. What in the fuck in his history the past 3 decades makes you think that? Sure, he has jobs in America, but he also does a lot of outsourcing too. And he can't run from that history no matter how much he tries. Talking about Hillary selling out to foreign interests like Saudi Arabia and Israel and everybody else. Yeah, does all of that. Again, this is not a Hillary Clinton puff piece because she is a piece of shit. Well, what do you think Donald Trump's going to do with his homoerotic crush on Vladimir Putin and Russia? How sickening is that shit? I think he loves Russia more than he loves this country. And he most certainly loves Vladimir Putin more than anybody else not named Donald J. Trump. And that is up to and including his wife. I think if there was a way for him and Vladimir Putin to make babies, they would fucking do it. I think it's any surprise that Russia seems to be a little bit interested in this election, that Russia seems to be a little bit engaged in trying to help Donald Trump win. So you think Hillary's going to sell you out to foreign interests? What in the fuck do you think Donald Trump is going to do with his love of Russia and still support of Israel and other fucking things? And we talk about Hillary being a war hawk. Again, what the fuck do you think Donald Trump is going to do? He can't wait to get into office and make some type of stand. He's going to go after the terrorizers of ISIS, and he's going to sit there and get us into more fucking quagmires than Hillary Clinton could ever imagine. Giggity, giggity, all right. I mean, Jesus Christ. All this talk about Hillary will explode the budget deficit. No, it will grow some under her, and she'll contribute some to the national debt. But any sane observer looks at Donald Trump's financial plan, his tax plan, his spending plan, and that includes lots of nonpartisan economic analysts, and they say that Donald Trump will explode the national debt and the budget deficit many times over what Hillary Clinton actually will. So all this shit people are going to talk about Hillary Clinton as a tax and spend liberal, it's actually Donald Trump who's going to be the borrow and spend fucking Republican that sits there and buries this country even more into a quagmire of freaking debt. We want to talk about Hillary Clinton. Lock her up. Lock her up. Talk about all these scams and shit going back to Whitewater back in the day and the Clinton Global Initiative, the Clinton Foundation, and all these other bullshit things. And they are scams. There's no question. They do bad business. They have bad dealings with bad people in bad countries. But again, is this really the path that Donald Trump supporters want to go down? Let's talk about Trump University. Let's talk about Donald Trump's taxes. Let's talk about the Trump Foundation. Let's talk about so many other goddamn things, including his basic business model over the past 40 years, living in a bullshit real estate bubble. All the financial wizardry that he's pulled off, and we're going to sit there and talk about Hillary Clinton being a scam artist? She is. Well, what the fuck does that make Donald Trump then? And then, oh God, this whole thing of, Hillary Clinton benefits from the good old liberal media bias. Like the conservative media doesn't have a major significant voice in this fucking country. Give me a fucking break. Furthermore, yes, Hillary Clinton absolutely benefits from a liberal media bias, although part of that bias is because of Donald J. Trump is such an unprepared fucking idiotic raging lunatic moron. On top of all of that, when we talk about media bias, look at all of the attention Donald Trump gets from all of the media. Conservative, liberal, in the middle of the road, it doesn't matter. He's had to spend so little on his presidential campaign because all the shit he does gets him far more attention than Hillary Clinton herself could ever even freaking dream of. You want to talk about benefiting from a fucking media bias? Why the hell do you think he made it through the GOP nomination process? Because at the end of the day, the media and the powers that be wanted to make as much money off the sensationalistic bullshit that would be a Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump presidential campaign in 2016, and that is a fucking fact. So you take your liberal media bias and shove it up your ass every time you click on Fox News and you see Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, you hear about Ann Coultergeist or fucking Rush Limbaugh. Don't tell me there isn't a conservative media bias. And frankly, if anything, there is an entire media bias toward Donald Trump, similar to how there is with Hillary Clinton, because of all the free publicity and free exposure and free advertising and promotion that this asshole fucking gets. All these people want to talk about how the system is rigged for Hillary. Well, no shit. Yes. She had one of her butt buddies, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, running the freaking DNC. Of course this shit was fucking rigged in her favor. They tried to thin out the pool as much as possible, do as few debates as possible. And, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that people started to realize who Bernie was and he got interested at some point, people got interested in him at some point, it would have long since been a Hillary coronation and still ultimately did anyways. That's the way this shit always is. And at the end of the day, it's rigged on the fucking GOP side too. And for all these people that want to sit there and use this as a rallying cry now about how the elections are rigged or this is decided by the Illuminati and all this other bullshit. Like, this is some new fucking revelation. Don't buy into that I'm going to lose bullshit from Donald Trump. This is all he's doing now is throwing out the narrative of excuses and bullshit about why he's not good enough as a candidate to beat one of the worst presidential candidates in history in Hillary Clinton, because he is the worst, arguably, presidential candidate in history, that is Donald Trump. And when we want to talk about rigging, this is the ultimate thing that just blows my ever-loving fucking mind. And again, doesn't make Trump's supporters deplorable, because they most certainly, in a lot of ways, are not any more or less deplorable than some of the Hillary Clinton folks, let's be honest. And frankly, not even any more idiotic or moronic or stupid than the Hillary Clinton ardent supporters. But to the Trump supporters, let's think about how stupid and moronic we really are. There are a lot of elements on the alt-right that believe in conspiracies and 9/11 being an inside job, where they're closer to the truth for sure than the goddamn official story is. You know, and all these things about government conspiracies here, there, and everywhere, trying to spy on us, which is true, poisoning us with chemicals as a form of population control. You know, I think most of us realize that's probably true. But you would think for so many people, especially the Trump supporters, that live in this alt-right bullshit universe of conspiracies and everybody's out to get them, that they would see the most obvious fucking conspiracy of all. The fact that you were blinded by this is absolutely astounding, because you would think, if anything, this would have been the first thing that everybody latched onto. If you're Hillary Clinton and you're saying to yourself, I want to be president, I'm a Clinton, I'm white, I'm entitled, I deserve this, I've paid my dues, it's my time. Well, you know you have 30 plus years of baggage. You know, in part, you might have to run against Bill and his history from the 90s while embracing it, also keeping it at arm's length. Not to mention all the problems that come along with Bill and his canoodling and not being able to keep it in his damn pants. Your support of the Iraq War, the Patriot Act, so many different things. Some of the crap you pulled in the 2008 campaign against Barack Obama, your time as Secretary of State, see Benghazi, what have you. You're like, people aren't going to like me. So how do I make people not hate me as much? I need to find the most outspoken, idiotic, unprepared, imbecile possible to run against me. Who could I turn to? I know. I'll go to a good, close family friend of over 2 decades. Guess who that is, people? Donald J. Trump. So let me get this straight. A guy, they've went to each other, you know, they went to freaking Trump's wedding. They've had pictures taken together over the years. Bill's talked about being friends. They've golfed together. Donald Trump has talked about being friendly with them, talked about how much he respected and liked and admired Hillary Clinton at one point in time. A guy that we're talking about when we talk about flip-flopping said a few years ago that he associated more closely with being a Democrat than he did a goddamn Republican. You're telling me, for so many of you that live in such a conspiracy-driven world, in such a fear-driven world, that you can't see the most obvious fucking pattern of a rigged system there possibly is, that the only reason Donald Trump ran in this election was to help his close friend Hillary Clinton get fucking elected. Yeah, I don't go so far as to call Trump supporters deplorable. But if you can't see this, and you can't grasp this and understand this and realize how ridiculous this whole assertion is that Donald Trump all of a sudden hates Hillary Clinton and wants to lock her up and is the antithesis of Hillary Clinton and he's going to be good by you, then you are some special kind of stupid and some raging type of fucking idiotic moron. If you're Hillary Clinton, who else could you run against that would actually allow you to win the presidency than Donald Trump? Like, how the fuck can I see this and so many other people can't see this, but the people that should be living in this rigged system bullshit of conspiracies the most, who should be clearly seeing this the most, sit there and live in this Donald Trump built bullshit bubble and think that he's legitimately running for them and this is a legitimate campaign for president. Donald Trump talking about the rigged system. He is a part of the rigged system because he is helping to rig this election for Hillary Rodham Clinton. Just step back and think about it for a second. Hillary Clinton poses this idea to Donald Trump. Donald Trump says, what's in it for me, as he naturally would. You get the Donald Trump name out there. You get to be able to sit there and talk about how many millions of people voted for you in an election because you know no matter what, there's a segment of the population that's going to support you at least 40%. That's a lot of people that say they love Donald Trump. Think about all the advertising for your brand, all the free marketing and publicity this is. Donald Trump would live for this. Donald Trump dreams of this. He couldn't cook this up for himself no matter how many goddamn Apprentice shows he did on NBC. Now he sits there and gets to take his brand even more worldwide than he ever has in the past 4 decades. So he gets something out of it. Hillary Clinton gets something out of it. These two win. They laugh in your fucking faces, and everybody, all of you look like fucking assholes. I mean, seriously. If you're a Donald Trump supporter, how in the fuck can you not see this is one big fix to help Hillary Clinton get elected? Like, the only rational way to look at this is to think of it in that context, in that way. Because otherwise it makes absolutely no goddamn sense whatsoever. When your candidate, Trump supporters, is talking about the fix, he's right. It's rigged. It's a fix. The fix has been in for 8 years now. The crazy thing about it is your candidate is the final piece of the puzzle. And if you want to say, well, Donald Trump wouldn't sign off on that, Donald Trump wouldn't do that, you know what, then let's go with that idiotic viewpoint, that naive viewpoint. Let's give him the benefit of plausible deniability. This is like where everybody else is working him, and Donald Trump thinks it's real, but everybody else is working him for the benefit of everybody else but Donald Trump. No matter how you spin it, no matter how you look at it, how the fuck could you think Donald Trump running is a legitimate, real thing? And why the hell would anybody support this guy? At the end of the day, people are going to vote for whoever the hell they want to vote for. You're going to have idiots vote for Hillary Clinton for a variety of reasons, many of which are dumb and don't do anything to actually change the real problems or change the problems with the system that we have. Many people are going to vote for Donald Trump in large part because they hate Hillary Clinton so much, but in large part because they're being so goddamn stupid about things. Wake up, people! Yes, this election is rigged, and Donald Trump is a primary reason this election is rigged. Because if you're Hillary Clinton, who the hell else would you want to run in this campaign than Bill's old golfing buddy going back 2+ decades? Like he woke up one day all of a sudden and Donald Trump hates Bill and Hillary. Are you fucking serious? Some of you are going to call me idiotic. But at least I'm not supporting Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. The fuck does that make you? Wake up, you morons. Donald Trump is no answer or solution to any problem. He is a major contributing factor and emblematic of the problems that we have with our political system. Wake the fuck up. How you can't see this conspiracy that is so obvious is beyond me.